Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're tackling something that could really shift your perspective on meditation and potentially your whole life.
Meditation, eh? Let me take a stab. Is this about pretzel sitting, listening for Tibetan singing bowls, and failing miserably to banish thoughts of that pepperoni pizza I saw earlier?
Not exactly, Rachel. We're diving into the 6-phase meditation method developed by Vishen Lakhiani. It elevates meditation by weaving in elements of love, gratitude, forgiveness, vision, mastery, and blessings into a streamlined, structured practice.
Sounds like a tall order. What distinguishes this from your run-of-the-mill meditation?
Excellent question. Unlike traditional approaches, this method is both grounded in science and highly practical. Sure, it enhances emotional awareness and mental clarity, but it also actively supports you in defining and achieving your goals. It's meditation for those seeking tangible results, not just a fleeting moment of zen.
Tangible results, you say? So no need to stock up on sandalwood incense?
Not at all. We'll be breaking down our discussion into 3 key areas. First, we'll examine the structure of this 6-phase system, how it's organized, and the importance of each phase. Next, we'll explore the real-world benefits. Think laser focus, enhanced resilience, and a crystal-clear vision for your life. And finally, we'll see how this practice extends beyond the individual, cultivating a sense of collective well-being.
So you're suggesting it's not just about personal introspection, but something broader, more outward-reaching?
Precisely. It's an inward journey, yes, but one that creates positive ripples affecting everything and everyone around you. Let's dive in. Okay, so let's start with the foundation of this method, its structure and purpose. The 6-phase meditation isn't just about chilling out. It's really a structured approach designed to tap into different parts of your emotional and mental well-being. Each phase has a specific goal, right? It starts with building compassion, moves to gratitude, then forgiveness, and then we get into visualization, intention, and finally, connection. It's really like a 6-course meal, but for your mind and your heart.
A 6-course meal, huh? Hopefully, it's more satisfying than those tiny portions you get at fancy restaurants. Let's talk about compassion first. What's so special about just thinking about people you care about? Isn't that just something we naturally do, especially when we miss folks or think about old times?
Well, sure, but this isn't just daydreaming about loved ones. The compassion phase, which we often call the circle of love, is actually structured. You begin with yourself, fostering self-compassion first. That's something a lot of people skip over, actually. Once you've built that up, then you broaden it outward, from people close to you to acquaintances, and eventually out to everyone, all living beings. So it's both a visual and emotional exercise, designed to spark real empathy.
What's the big deal with self-compassion anyway? Isn't that just another term for letting yourself off the hook?
It's so much more than that. Self-compassion isn't about avoiding responsibility. It's about understanding your inherent worth while also acknowledging your imperfections. And the research really backs this up. Compassion practices lower anxiety and stress hormones. Plus, when you're feeling compassionate, you're better equipped to deal with challenges without getting trapped in cycles of self-criticism or blame.
So if I tap into this circle of love, am I suddenly going to become this enlightened driver who doesn't flip off the guy who cuts me off?
Possibly. I mean, compassion sort of rewires your emotional responses. Instead of just reacting with anger automatically, you start to see other people's behavior with a bit more understanding. It's like emotional strength training. You build more resilience over time. This first phase, really, sets you up to be open and kind, which is key for all the phases that follow.
Okay. I'll give strangers a mental hug. What about phase 2? Gratitude. I see that one everywhere these days. Gratitude journals, gratitude apps, even those terribly awkward Thanksgiving moments where you go around the table and say what you're grateful for.
True, gratitude is definitely having its moment, but for good reason. In this phase, you're focusing on 3 specific things you're thankful for. Could be a personal win, a relationship, or even something small like your morning coffee. By spotting and dwelling on the positive, you're basically training your brain to see abundance instead of lack.
How does that really work, though? It sounds good, but what actually happens in your head when you're listing off things you're thankful for?
Well, there's some pretty solid neuroscience behind it. Gratitude actually activates the brain's reward center, releasing those feel-good chemicals like dopamine and serotonin. And when you practice gratitude consistently, it can really shift your mental perspective. You start focusing less on what's missing and more on what you already have, which in turn builds a sense of stability and optimism. Dr. Robert Emmons' research has even shown tangible health benefits: better sleep, fewer headaches, less stress. The list goes on.
So if I just spend some time thinking about how much I love a good burrito, I'm hacking my brain chemistry.
More or less, yeah. Although the idea is to really go beyond those surface-level comforts. It's about bringing a sense of meaningful appreciation into your focus. Gratitude's not just about feeling good in the moment. It has a compounding effect. The more you practice, the more you train your brain to seek out those positive experiences, even when things get tough.
All right, so love and gratitude sound doable. But I'm betting phase 3, forgiveness, is where things get a little tricky. Is it really fair to ask people to forgive someone who's really done them wrong, even if they might not deserve it?
That's a fair point. And it's one that holds a lot of people back from really exploring forgiveness. But here's the thing. Forgiveness isn't about overlooking or excusing bad behavior. It's about untangling yourself from the emotional weight that resentment creates. Carrying anger or bitterness keeps you stuck in the past, and research has shown it can even impact your physical health by raising stress markers like cortisol.
Okay, but how does this practically work? I can't just suddenly decide to forgive someone who, say, humiliated me at work.
It's a process, not an instant fix, for sure. In this phase, you close your eyes, picture the person who hurt you, and have an internal dialogue. Imagine explaining how you feel, and then consciously letting the grievance go. It might not work the first time, but with practice, it helps you release all that pent-up emotional tension. The method even mentions a case about a man named Ken who used this phase to fix broken relationships and feel a real sense of emotional relief.
So it's less about them and more about claiming back your own peace of mind?
Exactly. Forgiveness is all about self-liberation. It really helps you move forward with a clearer heart and mind. The beauty of this phase is that it releases the energy that's drained by unresolved conflicts and makes more room for positive growth.
Compassion, gratitude, forgiveness. So far, this meditation method feels like a therapy session wrapped up in mindfulness.
In many ways, it really is. These first 3 phases set the foundation. They really take care of your internal world and prepare you for the outer focus of the later phases. You know, things like visualization and setting daily intentions. But it all starts here, with these emotional resets that really align your mindset.
All right, let's keep going. If goodwill and letting go of grudges are the appetizers, what's the next course in this 6-course mental feast?
Okay, so we've covered the framework of the 6-phase meditation. Now let's dive into how each phase actually helps you change. We're really getting to the good stuff, the practical ways you can use this, and the benefits you'll see. I mean, this goes way beyond just feeling relaxed.
Right, so we're talking about how this works in the real world. What about phase 4? Is that where we start thinking about the future?
Exactly. Phase 4 is all about vision. It's about building a better future by really imagining your ideal life 3 years from now. And this isn't just some vague positive thinking. It's about creating a really detailed, vivid picture of where you want to be.
A mental PowerPoint of my dream life? What's the point of that, besides giving you something to daydream about?
Well, this is much more focused. This process is based on visualization methods used by top performers. Think about Michael Phelps. He visualized every detail of his Olympic races, the dive, how the water felt, touching the wall. It helped him program his brain. When you really picture your future, your career, relationships, everything, you're training your mind to spot opportunities and move toward those goals.
I guess that makes a bit of sense. So, if I imagine myself as a super successful writer, does that mean book deals will just magically appear?
Not exactly. Visualization isn't magic. It's more like a tool to get your brain on board with your goals. It doesn't replace hard work, but it focuses you. For instance, if you're picturing yourself as a writer, you might start noticing ideas, connections, or resources that can help you. It creates a mental framework that helps you see and grab opportunities.
Like a mental GPS guiding me toward my goals? Okay, that's kind of cool. But how do you keep it from just being a vague, someday dream?
That's where the detail comes in. The more specific your vision, the more it resonates with your emotions, and that's a huge motivator. Don't just think, I want a better job. Picture the office, the team you're working with, how you feel walking in there. That emotional connection makes your goals feel more real and achievable.
So instead of saying, I want to be happy, you focus on what actually makes you happy, like hiking on weekends or finally build that dream tree house.
Exactly. General goals don't give you the clarity to take action. Detailed visualizations connect your goals to a concrete why. This phase shifts you from just wishing to actually feeling inspired.
Okay, the athlete comparison is interesting. If it works for Olympic champions, maybe it can help the rest of us with daily work and life.
Definitely. And it's adaptable because you're not just focusing on accomplishments, but on the emotional connection, which makes it incredibly personal and motivating.
Vision building sounds useful. Okay. So what's next? How do you go from dreaming big to actually managing day-to-day stuff?
Phase 5 is where you master your daily intentions. It's called segment intending, and it's about breaking your day into smaller chunks and setting intentions for each one. Basically, you're designing how you want each part of your day to go.
Sounds dangerously close to micromanaging. Is this just a fancy to-do list?
Not really. The key is that it's not about planning every single minute. It's more about focusing your energy on how you want to be in specific moments. Like before a big meeting, you might close your eyes, take a few breaths, and imagine it going well, understanding the agenda, having good conversations, and feeling like you accomplished something when you walk out.
So it's about setting the mood for each part of your day?
Right. It's about setting your mindset, not controlling everything that happens. And from a neuroscience angle, this uses your reticular activating system, or RAS. That's like a filter for what your brain pays attention to. When you set an intention, your RAS is more likely to notice things that align with it, so you can make the most of your day.
Okay, so if I start my morning wanting to have productive conversations, my brain will look for those opportunities, right?
Exactly. A good example is entrepreneurs or busy professionals who use this to balance a demanding schedule with their personal life. By visualizing how their work and personal time should go, they create a mental map to stay grounded and achieve goals.
Sounds like this phase is about building momentum, but intentionally. Sounds like a good way to avoid getting lost in multitasking chaos.
Precisely. Mastery through intention turns possible chaos into a focused day. It helps you feel more present and less stressed. Now, the final phase brings it all together.
Let me guess. This is the spiritual part of the program.
Not far off. Phase 6, called the blessing, brings everything together by focusing on connection. Whether that's with a higher power, the universe, or just your own wisdom, depending on what you believe. It's about feeling supported as you go through life.
Okay, for people who aren't super spiritual, like me, how does this phase fit in?
That's what's great about it. It doesn't require you to believe in anything specific. A lot of people just see it as self-reassurance. For some, it's imagining a guiding light. For others, it's connecting with their sense of purpose or strength. It's less about religion and more about feeling calm and confident.
And this actually makes a difference in real life? Or is this just a feel-good thing that doesn't really do anything?
It can make a big difference, particularly when you're under stress. Studies show that people who feel supported, whether it's through friends, their beliefs, or their mindset, are more resilient. People who do this phase report feeling clearer and less anxious when making tough decisions or facing uncertain situations.
So instead of feeling totally alone, you shift to thinking, I've got support. I can handle this.
Exactly. It changes how you face problems, less fear, and more confidence. The blessing phase ends the meditation with a sense of empowerment, connecting your inner growth with your actions. It's a powerful way to finish this mental and emotional journey.
Okay, I see how it all connects. So each phase builds on the one before. You start with compassion and gratitude, let go of the negative stuff with forgiveness, dream big with vision, manage your day with intention, and connect it all with a sense of support.
That's the beauty of it. It neatly combines emotional, mental, and practical growth. Together, these phases create not just a daily practice, but a way to live with clarity and purpose. So, with the practical benefits of each phase pretty clear, let's talk about how this goes beyond just personal growth and touches on societal well-being. The 6-phase meditation isn't just about individual mastery. It's really a tool for collective change. By focusing on things like empathy, gratitude, and really setting those intentions, we can kind of radiate those qualities outward, which can foster harmony in our families, workplaces, and communities.
Expanding the ripple effect, huh? So, are you saying that if I actually manage to meditate and, become this beacon of compassion and forgiveness, I'll suddenly turn into some kind of positivity domino, knocking everyone else in my life into better behavior?
Well, it's not exactly like that, but you're definitely on the right track. There's this concept called emotional contagion. It's a real psychological phenomenon where emotions, especially positive ones, can spread from one person to another. For example, let's say a teacher starts working mindfulness and gratitude into their daily routine. Their students probably won't even know what's happening, but they'll subtly pick up on that calm, patient energy the teacher radiates.
Contagious good vibes, then? Like sneezing kindness into the world instead of, germs.
Exactly. And the impact really grows as people keep practicing. Think about a leader in a company who's genuinely empathetic and forgiving. That doesn't just change how they lead. It trickles down and affects the vibe of the entire team. There's a story surrounding this method about a manager who started using these forgiveness practices to handle team conflicts. By addressing mistakes openly, letting go of old resentments, and really focusing on solutions, they were able to improve not just morale, but also collaboration and trust among the whole team.
Wow, that's actually pretty impressive. I mean, I've definitely been in places where grudges linger like, bad wallpaper, peeling off and ugly, but no one ever actually deals with it. So, meditation can actually shift the culture?
Absolutely. It just goes to show how one person's emotional clarity can create a ripple effect, especially when they're in a position of influence. And it's not just in the workplace. This applies to families, schools, neighborhoods, anywhere people interact.
Okay. I see how me time can sort of morph into we time. But playing devil's advocate for a minute, isn't this all a bit wishful? Like you're assuming the whole world will improve because you've become marginally less cranky?
That's a valid concern, but, there's actually research that backs this up. When people practice things like compassion and forgiveness, it can reduce conflict and inspire understanding. These small attitude shifts can really multiply over time. Think of it this way. If you get enough people in a community adopting this kind of intentional behavior, you start seeing cultural shifts, greater collaboration, inclusivity, even resilience when things get tough.
So, kind of like tossing a pebble in a pond and watching the ripples spread?
Precisely. The 6-phase meditation really provides a framework for building those ripples. For example, Phase 1, the circle of love, encourages you to not just think about compassion, but actively imagine it expanding outward. You are, in effect, training your mind to see people as interconnected rather than isolated.
Makes sense. And I guess that also fits into the forgiveness phase, right? Like letting go of grudges opens the door for collaboration.
Exactly. I mean, imagine a society where more people were good at letting go of resentment. It's not just about feeling good individually. It eliminates so many unnecessary conflicts and roadblocks, and instead creates room for cooperative solutions, rather than, divisive standoffs.
Okay. I see how this applies to personal relationships. Maybe a collaborative team. But how does it really scale up to bigger societal systems? World peace through group meditations. Doesn't that sound a little Pollyanna?
Well, it's not about achieving world peace overnight, of course, but it's about incremental progress. The core concept is that as more individuals practice the 6-phase meditation, a cultural shift starts taking shape. Think about visioning, Phase 4. If individuals in positions of influence visualize not just their own success, but a thriving community or organization, they start working towards it in a real way.
Like an executive imagining a company culture with, mindfulness programs or purpose-driven goals, rather than just endless chaos?
Exactly. Those decisions start with a personal shift, but they end up reshaping entire systems. Similarly, segment intending, or Phase 5, fosters accountability and focus. If a leader starts practicing this and builds momentum in their own day-to-day management style, it fosters long-term mindfulness practices within their entire team.
Sure, but what keeps this from just becoming another self-help fad? I mean, plenty of great ideas sound good, but end up gathering dust on someone's bookshelf after a while.
Well, that's where this key idea of continuous practice comes in. The beauty of meditation is that it's not a one-time fix. It's more of a lifestyle habit. The brain's reticular activating system, which we've talked about before, plays a big role here. When someone regularly focuses on positive intentions, their brain wires itself to notice opportunities that align with that focus. And over time, this not only ensures personal growth, but also amplifies the collective impact.
Okay, let me paint a picture of my own here. Visualize, if you will, a neighborhood, or maybe even a workplace, where people are embracing emotional mastery. They forgive each other, express gratitude, and really focus on their intentions. I'll admit, it actually sounds pretty harmonious. But is it, sustainable?
That's the challenge. And it really comes down to commitment, not perfection. Personal growth goes hand in hand with embracing imperfection. People don't suddenly become saints just by meditating, but acknowledging their flaws and working through them with tools like compassion and forgiveness builds resilience. It's a model for shared progress and accountability over time.
And ideally, that inspires others to step up, right? Like leaders or teachers leading by example and creating a domino effect.
Exactly. And this is where the story of Vishen Lakhiani fits in so perfectly. His own journey from frustration in the corporate world to creating this widely adopted method just goes to show how personal mastery can inspire collective change. Through his consistent advocacy, he's not just making meditation more accessible, he's inviting everyone to elevate humanity together.
So instead of just helping people fix their frazzled mornings, this method is really opening the door to cultural transformation?
Precisely. As more people start to adopt the 6-phase meditation, their combined efforts can create these powerful cultural shifts toward empathy, resilience, and inclusivity. It's a good reminder that humanity's progress really relies on shared accountability and interconnectedness at its core.
All right. I'll reluctantly admit, this sounds bigger than I initially thought. So, it's not just about me achieving Zen. It's about creating ripples of growth that might actually influence the way society functions. Fascinating.
Okay, so to summarize, the 6-phase meditation, it's not just about quieting your thoughts, right? It's this powerful toolkit for real change. Emotionally, mentally, even how we impact the world around us. Think about it. Cultivating compassion, gratitude, forgiveness, then visualizing the future you want, setting intentions for your day, and connecting to something bigger than yourself. It's really about personal evolution and how we affect the collective.
Right, and what I find so compelling is, how rooted it is in science how in practicality. It's not about escaping the world, but really engaging with it consciously, powerfully. So whether you're searching for some clarity in your own life or facing hurdles in your career, even just trying to stay afloat in all the chaos, this meditation offers a concrete framework.
Precisely. And that's what's so beautiful about it, its accessibility. You can literally start anytime, anywhere, even if it's just for a few minutes each day. And its influence grows over time, shaping how you relate to yourself, sure, but also how you show up for the people around you, for the wider world.
So, whether you want a subtle shift in your mindset or you're trying to ignite broader change in your community, this 6-phase meditation, well, it might be worth exploring. It could be the key to creating that ripple effect we've been discussing.
Absolutely. Start small, be consistent, and hey, enjoy the process. It's not about being perfect. It's about moving forward with intention. Ultimately, real transformation, whether it's personal or reaching out into society, it always begins with a single step.